Yes, another beautiful day in paradise. I've been gone for a while. You know, just want to say rest in peace to my mother. Today's her funeral. She passed away on the 1st of April. It's been a lot going on lately, so we got a lot to discuss, a lot to catch up on. We're going to call this one, too, The Journey into the Belly of the Beast. I'm in the sheath of the beast right now, and it's a story in itself. And this is where we're at. And I want to discuss not just the beast and how it works so y'all understand the whole philosophy. It's about natural science. That's what University of Conscious Science is here about. And we're going to discuss it. We need to get a lot of understanding of things so that everybody could understand where I'm going, because there's so much information and a lot of it is beyond the physical world and beyond physical understanding. So for us to know these things, we can't use these basic modern concepts and these ideas and these programs that we have. We have to know actually what is what and what's going on. And so only way you're going to know that is through natural science. What's natural science? It's like, you got, what's his name? Ptolemy or whatever, Ptolemy. I don't know how to say it all. But anyway, these people left books, and you have like Albertus Magnus, who wrote a book. These books actually tell you what everything here is and what it does. As far as trees, they tell you trees is trees, or inanimate things, or have half-life, when they're actually the gods. You got to know who the gods are, and by you not just seeing trees as trees, you are one step closer to your awakening, or to understand reality without somebody telling you what this is and what that is. So then, by you understanding the trees as the gods, you understand how the healing properties of trees work, how they're herbs and why they're herbs, why the colors is associated with them, why they're associated to the planetary bodies, and what the planet's influences on our endocrinology system is. What is air? What is wind? What is water? All of these things we're unconscious, or we're ignorant to what they really are. And all of these have a very adverse effect on our behavior, our attitude, our emotions. And it's also the prison that we're locked in inside of. And this prison is a parallel of what's up. So what's up is what's below. Now, a lot of people can't grasp that concept, but it's for you to actually have influence on this world. You have to be able to know what you are. You're not a human being, or what they say. You're that word, man. And it's very important to understand the difference between man, human being, mankind. All of these are different mutations in genetics that actually they understand. The Illuminated, or the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, the first peoples that started this whole big era. When I say era, I don't mean ERA, I mean ERROR. It's actually the progenitors of a system that we live in and we believe in. It's so much dimensions to it. I could be here for days. It's encyclopedia for encyclopedia. What we will be considered today the occult. The occult just means the truth. And if you look around you, what you see is not the truth. It's just your eyes' perception, with your mind converting it into usable data according to what the information you have stored by these progenitors as what they are. All right, so with all that in mind, let's get started. But that's why natural science is important. Natural science teach you everything is forces. Forces is the gods. Forces could inhibit trees, objects. Speaking of that, let's talk about that real quick, which is talismans. Spiritually and soul in an object. Well, you can't do that, and certain things could be ensouled. Really, that's part of learning the craft, when you learn different parts to it. Now, when I say the craft, this does not have anything to do with witchcraft or anything, even white craft, whatever you want to call it, black craft. This is just how life works. You have to understand the basics of it. And so by you being able to experiment and learn, you will know what to do and what not to do. You understand? Those are the basics of actually learning what we would call the craft of what God created, because everything he created here for you, for your disposal, but it's in the form first of forces. So by learning forces, you learn the gods. Learning forces, you learn yourself, your nature, your attitude, what compels you to do the things you do. So that's, important things to understand. Well, the beast. When I first started coming into the beast, it was a series of events that started to take place. It's kind of crazy. It's like life just started changing, not just externally on the outside, but the astral world too. It started happening with me having encounters with people on this island. It's kind of weird, believe it or not now. Us as Americans, right? We don't understand ourselves. We don't even know who we are. And it's like we look to modern information to find and define who we are. And modern information is being defined or redefined by people who's not fully conscious yet. The new world just tell you that. New world, listen to it, new world. So new world, new people. So there's an old world with old people, the ancient ones, all the stuff that has doctrines, piracies, hieroglyphs, that's left information that we don't know nothing about it. It's oblivious to us. And so we're here now picking up our own version of the story, which renders us like not the ability to create what it's called, eschatology or whatever that word is. We can't plot the stars if you haven't been here long enough to be a whole revolution around the earth, whatever it is, the zodiac. You understand? So we can't actually know everything yet, but what we could do is use older information left here by our ancestors to navigate ourselves in a form of truth or deception. Okay. So with that in mind now, it's like everything we believe is one thing, it's not actual. The physical world and the spiritual world is two different worlds. Where you combine the two, you get what's called metaphysics. Metaphysics now involve, literally, you could say, the four elements. Earth, air, fire, water. These are the basic things that create everything in our existence. And with you knowing these basic concepts, you will be able to decode everything, or take something such as fire and know within fire is earth, air, and water. You understand? Everything is inside each element, but not in such a strong way. Every element have it subtly, with its most dominating element being the air, the fire, earth, or the water. You understand? So these was the basic principles of the foundation of creation. With those concepts coming together, you get different parts. But what controlled or made these earth, air, fire, water, you have mind, magnetics. So you have two forces that's working with each other, electricity and magnetics. So if you learn that these two forces now is actually the creators of this universe, but one is acting upon the other one, you will learn you in between everything. So you have all of that inside of you, meaning you're not air, you're not earth, you're not fire, you're not water. You're a composite being of all of those elements. And being that you're composite of all the elements, you're a threat to all those elements. You understand? So you have now things called the archons, star beings, that actually govern human beings' consciousness. Their stages of development to evolve actually past their level. But you first have to understand yourself. It's like as you grow older, you start noticing you have fighting abilities or persuasive abilities because of your looks, and you use them in cunning ways. So first you have to learn how to use yourself in the right way. Then you'll be able to have or evolve in stages where you get more. So these star beings, or what we call the stars, the zodiac, all of these things that's over our head, the moon, the planets, is an organized system developed to help raise you, to develop you. Now, we call them the archons because we see them in two lights. When we're children, they're with us. That's where we come from, those dimensions. And they guide us and help us through our adult transfer, so that actually when adults is pushing things on you, you can make logical sense of it. But then when we become mature and it's time to put away all those things, they now turn against us for us to actually do battle with them to return back to the other side. So everything that you was and what you was taught is going to be turned against you as an opposition now force for you to actually push yourself from all those things and actually ascend. So you have a war with matter, with desire being the compelling force of everything that they're doing. They only could work on you psychically or psychologically. That's what's called mythology. So all mythology is based upon your psychology, and you have to understand it so that you know how to apply it. Now, I want to say that I was going to how the people of the United States, the Americans, period, right? They're different. They're different from everybody else. What you're seeing is not a new mutation. It's like an old soul coming back. So you have all Americans is really Egyptians. The Egyptians is inside the Americans, or the Americans think they're Americans, but they're really Egyptians. They follow Egyptian ways, and they have a lot of weird gifts and different psychic abilities they're not fully aware of. But that's meant for something that's going to happen in the future with the Americans. But it's kind of a twist to the story now, because we are caught up in a system that they predicted this. This was already foreseen long before, and they actually mixed our genetics. So everybody here is a hybrid. And so once you learn that you're a hybrid, regardless of how black you are, how light skinned you are, how brown you are, whatever, how white you are, whatever color you want to call it, you're a hybrid. Hybrid do not and is not the same as the root race. It's not the same thing. And so if you know the laws of hybridity, or whatever you call it, you will see there's a lot of complications that come along with it, which includes fertility. Women's after 3 or 4 generations can't have kids no more. Kids coming out with the syndrome like Darwinism from inbirthing. You got to realize back then mulattoes, nobody really dated light-skinned or mulatto people because they was hybrid. They knew the root race from the beginning. So like in South America, no woman, light-skinned woman or mulatto woman would not have a husband. They will be left alone. That's because they know they was barren. They had names for them. I can't remember at this time, but trust me, everything that I'm telling you is facts. You can study it, you'll find out. So all of this now led to where everybody who was of a mixed or mulatto, they had to remix back with the original root people, which now cause these hybrid mutations where you have different sets of these mutations. You have sets that actually is the right mutation that give you a higher being. But then you have a lot of bad mutation. If it wasn't the hybrid mutation or the higher being one, it became a mongrel, a lower being, low consciousness. And now this is equated to like the Roman Empire. Romans who are black, who are African, chose to leave their African roots. They was the first ones from the Etruscans to actually be a hybrid genetic from the actual geographic location transfer. Every time you move from West Africa, your color changed, your genetics changed. It was a mutation. And as two people from like the Negro race who would be in West Africa start going towards anyways past that borderline between West Africa, they mutated genetically. And so they became lighter in skin. This way you see they have the Negroes, the Negritos, the Kafars, the different ones, the Hottentotans. All of these names actually designate different tribes of different mutations. So when tribes was first together, there's a word for it, and this is all done during the matriarch time. They did not mix. They like, you can be from this group of tribe and have sex with interbreeding with the same group. You had to go outside that tribe to actually have sex with somebody because they knew the laws of heredity and everything, and they couldn't interbreed. So we got to think about that. If you even look at it from the first Adam and Eve, however you want to put it, that's brother and sister interbreeding. And it's repeated in the story of Abraham and Sarah. Sarah was barren because she was fucking her brother. You understand what I'm saying? The same laws. That's what was going on in what's called matriarch. Matriarchism is a crazy thing. Everybody want back matriarchism, but we don't understand how it worked. You understand? And so with that in mind now, it was for you to actually be a king in matriarch season, you had to actually come from a different land. You couldn't be a king if you came from that community or that area, because you had to be a stranger, because the matriarch only made the woman was had the heir to the throne. As far as the king of the son, it had to be through the woman's line because it was actually a genetic bloodline thing. But so they couldn't make it interbreeding, so they would have to get somebody from a different country, and he'll have to challenge the king. And if he kills the king, he takes the king's wife. And then the king's wife or daughter becomes the heir, and that's how he become king. When his kids become, it's official. So it has changed now since to the patriarch season, where the man is by his last name, which is not a real name. That's called your cognomen, because you're only supposed to have a nomen. There's no such thing as a last name. That's a Christian thing. If you use that, you're playing into their jurisdiction. So with their names, you was only supposed to be like, if your name is David and say I'm the father, my name is Joseph, it's supposed to be David of Joseph. That's your name, David. That's it. Of Joseph, meaning the father. That's it. That's why you see them names back then. From day one, it always been like that. But they saw that connected you to a body of land, and it gave you godship because your name represent a god. So they made it that they put you could say a shackle on that name. So now by adding a cognomen to it, it take away your divinity from it. You understand? So now you become ownership. Ownership now is in the family name. When you look into the law, in the law, Black's Dictionary, especially the old one, the first editions, because they like to switch it. You know the game. But actually the word family under law, it renders a servant. It just says servant. So that's what family means. You're a servant. A servant to who? The government, because you believe in those stuff that they're telling you. You believe that you're supposed to vote. You believe that your kid's supposed to act a certain way in society and go to school and study industrial education to work machinery so they could profit. You believe in getting a check. Anybody who get a check is considered a servant. You understand? That's why you see so many tax benefits go to corporations who start up their own businesses. They don't get checks. They have cash flow. It's a big difference between cash flow, which is not taxable, and you get actually deductions, and you get deductibles, to where you get a check where they taking half your check because you're a servant. It's like you don't get it. And once you get in check on paper, IRS, federal, everybody else have the right to you. You're a servant to them. So I just wanted you to understand everything is in place for a reason. There's no doubt or mistake being made here. It's our ignorance of all this information that makes us, renders us this. So this now aligns with America again, with Egypt. You see how the dollar bill represents Egypt? Everything is not by coincidence. They didn't steal anything. America is Egypt again. How is that? The laws of hybridity. Because everybody in Egypt was a hybrid. We have to go before that to understand that Ethiopia is the melting pot. Ethiopia is the tricky spot that everybody don't understand. You got to take words into consideration when people speak. God is in everything. He make it words in books. You got to understand it and read it spiritually. But listen to what I'm saying. Ethiopia in the books, all original history books. First, you have to go to the first ones you could find. Earliest one when man started first roaming the earth. This ain't when man started roaming the earth. This is when actually the Caucasian race came out and started exploring the world and spending time with these first early races and wrote what they saw. Forget about genetics. Genetic law is written by people. So you can't say those is no law. What I'm saying is from observation. These observations is more better because you could understand what they're saying. Don't worry about who's superior, who's inferior. That's all egotistical talk. You're trying to get the data of what was there, what was going on. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So they was the ones who went through first and started noting all of these little differences between Negro and a Negrito, the West Africans. That's why the word Negro or Niger is coming from West Africa. The earliest people being the people of Mali, all of them is connected to the Olmec because of the hat they wear. They all was hats. You saying the first early people, you look, had on hats. What the hell? Hats wasn't even invented then. But they didn't even got on hats. They got on skull cap, leather joints with chin strap. And it's repeated back in Mali. And these people, if you realize, it's in India too, the Ganges, it's in South America. These same people is all over. And these is African black people. So my studies is all about African black, but I'm not going to reveal it like how everybody's doing in the egotistical because of your skin color way. I'm going to trace down something and show you some facts that why they're being killed off, why we're being exterminated spiritually. So this now goes to the Nagas, Niger, Negroes, Nagahadi. It's a serpent, the serpent with the cat eyes. Cats and serpents share the same eyes like they share the same hiss because those is God's chosen, those is God's people. So you got to realize everybody from West Africa, it's no coincidence that's where the slaves come from because that's a pedigree, a genetic that can mix with any blood. It can't lose its integrity, its soul. It can mix with any blood. It's the precursor of everything else. Okay. So back in Ethiopia, these books got Ethiopia as a white race that has Negro features. When you look at Haile Selassie wrote in his memoirs when Mussolini came and attacked, or the people over there, he literally ran, left his troops. And he said he's not black, he's white. When you look in the history books, they got Ethiopia that same way too. You can't just be saying, no, look. You can't judge off of that. This is why now. Let's forget about that for a quick minute then. I'm going to just give you some things to think about. Aryan race. Aryan, there's a big toss-up between what's Aryan. A lot of people say it's the age of Aries, so Aryan race just means we in the Aryan age of Aries back then. Then you got these group of people, let's go to the Nazi, who claim they're the Aryan race, the pure blood, and these is all these blue-eyed white people. Then, when you study history, you follow Incubus and a whole bunch of the first early historians, the Aryans is the Hindus. How do you tie these together now? Simple. There's furthermore information because deception is in the books that was written in history. Deception is in the information you receive. Now, when you go into people at those early times who's like us, truthers who wrote books on the deception, at the time of the deception, you come to the conclusion and you learn that these people called the Saxons, the Britons, took over Egypt long ago, from Kemet time, way before Kemet as a matter of fact, and rewrote everything Hebrew. It became our modern information of lies. We believe everything that the Braxtons, the Brightons, the Saxons left here. It's all Hebrew information. The information that's Sumerian is fake. The information that's Egyptian is fake. The information in South America is fake. The information about the Mayans is fake. Everything is fake. All alphabets is fake. Everything is a lie. You go and you'll find our English alphabet is the oldest language that ever was created. And we didn't know? That's the weird part. That been here before all of that stuff. Before we think. If you want to find out, just look up Phoenician alphabets. The Phoenician alphabets is the English language, the most powerful ones, or the ones that they could use that don't give you no God power. You can't express God through it. They done took out a whole bunch, which would have had it Egyptian. So the story basically is all the alphabets are found underneath the tombs of the dead pharaohs buried. Like if you was to lift up the last stone, you would see down there, there's a whole bunch of hieroglyphs. Maybe some of them have 500 on it. It has our alphabets in it. And so they used to use that for trading. It was a form of money. It's a form of power. It's a spell to each one. And so they found them all of them with the alphabets on it. So it been around before the Egyptians because they was just preserving it. It was from Atlantis all of this come from. And the Phoenician story will tell you if you just Google the Phoenician alphabet and its reference to our alphabet. So just for the record, we've been perpetrated from a long time ago. And this is not just in the educational system. You have people who wrote on it too. The alchemists of the times wrote of how this deception came into being. And it was all through this deception that they stopped the Nagas, the serpent people, destroyed all the temple, destroyed the information so that it stops their ascension, and they could use them through the laws of heredity. Because through the laws of heredity, if you lose yourself from the root race, you also now have a disconnection from your consciousness. So you only could elevate to what you saw or what you learned, and then you're capped off. You don't have no intuition, no insight, no further information. So other races that come and they grow, they come and they take over your empire. That's what happened to the Greeks. The Greeks, who's really Egyptian, was taught by the Egyptians, was all of a sudden got enough knowledge that they thought they could do it on their own, just like it's written in books. Now, doesn't say that a first-gen Egyptian blood from what you're seeing. Egyptian race, knowledge, philosophy, mathematics, science. They taught them everything, how to do medicine. And so they're their children. And so once they started getting the knowledge, it involved the whole meta nature, which was alignment with the cause and effect of nature, natural science. And they're the ones who perverted it out of place and just made Pythagorean and these other ones that we take as our great philosophers, their information that take out the actual spiritual part of it. And that's where we get caught up at now. Because we lost our spirituality, this led to all the wars in England between the Protestants, the Mormons, and all the other ones that started realizing people is using science and magic because that's what this world was. That's what the priest was using. But the priest never gave them the information of natural science. So the people was ignorant to it, and they used it against them and tell them God is going to do this to this and this is going to happen. But all in actuality, they was using the stars. They used the stars to do all that stuff. And they predicted everything through the stars. So with that and the spirits of the demion that everybody have, they'll trigger them on them, which is your own personal spirit, and you feel like you're being attacked psychically. So it was a lot going on. While all this going on, the Jews are studying mysticism, mastering the Kabbalah, taking the same Egyptian science and recoding it under their Kabbalah system, the Zohar. All of this came to the Sephiroth. The Kalipoth is the dark side of it. All of this information is actually real, just like the actual real name of Ethiopia would be Abyssinia, Abyss. Abyss is the dark part. When they say in the beginning, it was darkness. That's the chaos. Chaos is black people. Black people got to realize they're from the demon side first. The Demion, Agos Damien. You heard that? Bobby said it plenty of times. That's more real. Your guardian spirits that actually keep this whole dimension in place. Without you, this dimension will crash automatically. But the Agos Damien is just, you're just the anchor. You don't know about him. It's something that he uses through you to live. They call him the heaven man. There's so many names to him, but he's our divine spirit that's guiding us in whatever direction he needs for our spiritual growth. So with all this in mind, we don't know all of this stuff. We believe in aliens and we believe in these stuff, but all of this is going to start coming to fruition now because everybody's going from Area 51 to the one behind Area 50. I don't know the number, Area 38, 33, or whatever, but now it's about demons and spirits, which it always been. And who got demons and spirits? All of us. So you got the government warring with you. Your demons, your spirit, your extra body that you don't know, your astral body, is all being under attack. So they could put their own spirits in you. Just like when you drink, you're drinking alcohol, you're drinking their spirit. They set it to a specific oscillation and frequency to channel a certain spirit, whether negative or positive. I don't know what company, how they do it, but it channels a spirit and it put that spirit inside of you. So you got to understand what's going on here. This is not just what you see, what you hear, what you speak situation. It's a game in the spiritual world going on, and you are just being manipulated to be in it. So back to Egypt real quick and its connection to the United States. All of us now was reincarnated on those laws of hybridity. Now back to those laws real quick. Only two breeds that could become superior is if a white and a black mix. You hear that? I'm going to say it again. Only ones that become superior, except for the root of the Negro and except for the root of the white, is a mix of a white person and a black person. Those two make a superior person. Those was the conquerors, the kings. They made up kingship, the hybrids. You have to do the study of it. And this is where the purple come from, the scarlet. This is where indigo come from. You understand? Now, when you're doing this study, you got to realize this is deep. I'm going into stuff that probably is not in no book. Y'all ain't going to understand it. Because I came here to this island where I'm at, and the law was that my uncle, he put me on that, you know, where I'm at, it's called a specific name. It's bugged out. But the people that was put there during the slave time, everybody was put here by the Germans. The Germans had to have sex with the slave first before they put them in this blank community. Same thing like the New World. They took out all the low-grade people or the hybrids or what we call mongrels and let them in the United States so the pure blood could stay in England. It was a psych game. They psyched everybody out with that one. You understand? They had to get y'all out. The two cannot be in the same place. I'll teach you the law of thermodynamics in a minute why that happened. You understand? So now... with the laws of hybridity, the Germans went around to Cuba, to Haiti and Dominican Republic, and started putting the people there after they mixed them. They was not there pure. Nobody's from an island anyway. So they put you there first, and then they have sex with the African West African woman, then put the mulatto mix in there, then put the African there with the with the other one, and have them all keep mixing, with the superior one being the ones that started all these riots and all the craziness that went on from the Haiti rebellion to the Jamaican rebellion to the Dominican Republic rebellion, Cuban rebellion. That's why Cubans as killers, murderers, they used them Castro time, and they still use them now as hitmen from cartel. Everybody's used for that by the political system because they create these things. Welcome to the world of the beast. You're going to learn this is deep. Guess what now? The only ones that would survive, because now we're going back to frequencies. I got a few minutes, maybe 10 more minutes here now. So we're going back to frequencies when the Negroes actually started leaving West Africa, headed east, and how their frequencies changed and mutation and their skin color started changing lighter. And this created the second group of people that they call the Kafars, Zulus, Hottentotans. These people now are different. You see, the actual first group was not reflective in their look. They was like dark black, Glock. You know how the Glock don't shine? That type of matted look. And then the second group now had a glossy look to them. You know, like how I shine or people shine? That's the second group. They call the Kafars. Believe it or not, they were superior to the first group, not in power, but in spiritual abilities, because consciousness rose, perception rose. So they're different. Their genetics is different. That's a mutation. So now, let's say two Kafars have sex or whatever, they're going to make a hybrid, but the hybrid is going to, after maybe 4 generations, 3 generations, be sterile. Can't make no more kids. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of nations fell. That's why a lot of people, Mayans, disappeared. Everybody disappeared because that was it. Their end of their reign was up. They left the true Negro. You have to follow the culture. In these books, it said if you don't stick with the culture, your consciousness was dropped. That's what they say was the fall of Rome, the fall of Greece, the fall of Persia. And the only ones who survived was Egypt. But Egypt had to defend itself for 4,000 years against all these people. You understand? You're only going to be but so strong underneath that before they figure out a plot how to get you. But 4,000 years they've been attacking that place. It's been in other hands. It came right back, and their defense is beyond anybody else in the world. So I'm just putting y'all on to information that is facts, that is truth, so you can understand why you see so much Egyptian stuff all over America, why you're so connected to Egypt. This is not no new thing. This is actually something coming back. We're back again. The Egyptians is back. But you have to know your powers. You're not black. This black thing is a creation. So if you think you're black, you wouldn't know what to do more than wear your hat to the side and walk around and be cool and listen to rap music. That's not being black. Being black is spiritually able to leave your body, spiritually able to affect people, spiritually be able to change things. We was the shit they was afraid of. That's the Nagas, the third eye connected. First peoples go back now, you got the Asiatics. Ethiopians and the Asiatics was established before the Egyptians, even though they all ran concurrently. I'm talking about with consciousness now. Who was conscious first? That's why Abyssinians called Abyss. They have the original of everything. The Christian pictures is Afro-black people. Actually, the Jesus shit, and these is in caves, so you can't say that they forged it or it was fake. You know, the Ethiopian information is off the bloodline of the David, so everything is real. But like I said, now to what they claim as far as their genetics, that's a fake. But they're part of a mix from the same way I told you about Cuba, that these Anglo-Saxons went all over the world and mixed the whole world. For you to understand it, look at how when a king takes over or when they took over Egypt, they didn't just take over Egypt, they took all the Egyptians and put them in Persia and then put all the Persians in Egypt, destroyed the information and history of Egypt. So that's how they do it. They get rid of that genetics. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. They didn't just kill Saddam Hussein, they killed his kids and that whole bloodline. That's how they do it. And then the genetic, whatever they keep, they mix it. So if you don't stick to your true root culture and follow the principles of it, you're going to lose yourself and your consciousness is just going to be a follower, which leads to America, the Industrial Revolution. And why is it like that? It's because everybody in there is low in consciousness because of the laws of heredity. If you're not remixing back with the true black, you're actually making yourself low in consciousness, your kids low in consciousness, then eventually they're going to be sterile. Just like they saying with GMO food. You have GMO people here too. The test is already in and they know that. That's why Europe said, let's make the greatest, biggest Walmart in the world. And they invented the District of Columbia, aka the United States of America, which they now transfer to the USA. You understand? Or United States of America is with the capital letters. It's a corporation where everybody in there having a social security number, which is same as a franchise. So you're just a basketball player and they watching you from up in the bleachers and you paying them for the show though. You understand? So that's why they sent everybody there and don't mix theirs. Do you see they mix theirs? Do you see the Jews mix theirs? Our original people never mixed theirs. But they knew what was called diversity. You see, you have to do diversity in order for it to come up. So now, this video, like I said, we're dealing with the beast, how everything works. For you to understand the beast, you have to understand all that I said. Else I wouldn't waste my time to say it, but this is just an introduction. So, our two frequencies, white and black, is the same as you would see the God on one side wrestling with the beast on the other side. You have two forces that's positive, negative, feminine, masculine. They create everything like night and day. You take a droplet of water, it would be invisible if there wasn't a dark line on the side of it to show it. So black and white go together. The first thing, if there was God and he manifests himself, a shadow cast, which would have been the beast. So you got to understand, these two forces make up one energy. It's the yin and yang sign. One circle, but has two forces in it. These two forces come together to create creation. Everything in existence is polarity, like your right side and your left side. One brain, two hemispheres. Woo! Speaking about that, I just want to say now, two hemisphere, one brain. Have you ever noticed Egyptian picture, they only show the right side of the body in most of their pictures. Why they only show the right side of the body? Because they take only the right path, third way. Third way is the right path, and you have the left-hand path, the side of the beast, the dark side. So you got to realize though, left-handed people got the right side, because the right side is what they're showing, which controls what? The left side of your body. You understand what I'm saying? So it looked like you're traveling the left-hand path, but you're really traveling the right because you didn't put that into your equation. So put that into your equation, you'll understand a lot of left-handed people are blessed people and spiritual people already, and it's us who has to balance ourselves. Well, I'm left-handed anyway, but that's not important. So that plays a key issue into it. Now, when we're talking about the beast, we're talking now, have to go back to the beginning, so we have to understand ascension. Ascension is the key to this. It all started with ascension, the 2012 shift. Even though people have been doing it from day one through the Egyptians rituals, and even I've done research, the Zulu, way back in the days to the Hottentot, every nation did these rituals. It was an initiation into being a man, because they know your consciousness is low and only certain things as far as stress and trauma is going to bring out the God in you. You understand? Make you repress the program in yourself. So those things is designed, but it was in the 2012 actually event that God or the angelic beings or the ones who's in charge, poof, send a burst of the pulse of that sun to change that actually was constraining us. There's a less more energy pulse on the sun, so now we're less constrained with us being in a new star system that pulls on our electrons. With us having less electrons, we're able to leave our body more, we become more denser, and we're able to understand and have greater perception. So with that in mind, we have to learn ourselves and these little deep frequencies to understand what's going on. I'm going to post a lot of books, and if you want all these information through books, I'll give it to you now. I have thousands of books that's dealing with these, so anyone who wants to know this stuff and master it, it's the occult. It's what's controlling everything. Don't look at the occult like witchcraft. Occult just means what's hidden, a hidden force, and back to Abyss, when they look back into even the Ibigo, or whatever you call it, and the Yoruba people from Nigeria, the originals, they even worship Abyss. You understand? And it was called the Thunder Goddess, a woman, and Abyssinia, and all of these ties into different ways that we don't know, like in Ab, the father. And it's that energy, it's chaos energy. And chaos was something that was sacrificed to. and to keep everybody balanced. As far as when we was in this matriarch time, this is when it was all about sacrifices to trees. Everybody sacrificed to trees because this energy of the sun was more stronger, and the forces had a more visible effect and force on everybody. And if you don't know, the forces control earth, air, fire, water, so they control the weather, you know. And we're going to make everything make sense, because you have to understand how tornadoes work, which is the orb spinning, the spiraling of the tornadoes, the same as the eye of the snake. It's all kundalini. Everything is kundalini. The sun itself is just a chakra. The water itself represents just the unconscious us when we are in our unconscious state. And you're made of mostly water. So with the moon traps your soul. So if you don't know that, you're going to be in a soul trap in continuous reincarnation through the moon. People that's from the moon is the beast. They work for the beast. If you desire the moon, you love the moon, you're a moon child, your inner nature is of the beast, and you're against the light ones, the ones who's light workers, and the one who's from the sun. We're from the sun, I'm from the sun, but it's like you have to understand yourself. You're not supposed to stay under the moon. The moon render us as creatures, and they only have our desires, which also now you get trapped in it. You're also going to reincarnate. It's there. You have to learn it, and that's where the archons stay, to make sure you stay there. So when you go in the underworld or the Tuat, you're really in the moon. That's the moon, Amente, the Hall of Amente, and you're facing all those creatures. But, you know, light workers or people from the sun, they're not prone to that, but you have to be sun staring and get your magnetic field up to defend yourself. And that's the journey that, you know, Uni took in the coffin text. He came out with his ninth and one tooth missing, because the tooth is the canine. One tooth missing meaning he's human. That's why the first thing you see with the beast is the teeth, the canine teeth. Who's the beast? The beast is a dog. You can't see who's holding the leash, but it's actually a dog. Like dogs is governed by set to actually protect him and those spiritual beings. All of them, if you see them, they're holding a dog in the animated picture of demons, because that's how they keep you in line. Just like on earth, it was the dog that they kept the slave in line, and to chase the slave down. So the dog is our enemy. They got it as man's best friend, but that's a lie. All that's a lie. The cat is our only best friend. We're the cat. We are the cats, but we don't know that. That's why they worship Basset. But the dog is not our friend. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have no soul. It's just here to kill and to keep us in line. So a lot of people is one with the dog because they're from that dimension. You have to know that whoever's pet lovers of dogs is actually a beast themselves. A beast manifests in so many ways.